Russia stresses that the accusations against China and Russia about hindering a solution in Syria are groundless, and some Western as well as regional countries are to blame for this. Our armed forces impose full control on a Sukayna monument in Daraya, killing and wounding dozens of them. Israeli occupation troops launch an airstrike on Gaza and Palestinian resistance men retaliate. Are groundless. Today, Markelov said, "Our partners, whether in the West or in the region, are well aware that these accusations are untrue, and the truth is that a political solution in Syria is not obstructed by Russia and China, but by the forces that continue to support the ongoing armed conflict in this country, as they persist in their unconditional financial and military support for one side only, in reference to the support of the West, the USA and some regional states to the armed terrorist groups in Syria." Markelov added that the joint communique issued by the BRICS summit in Durban in South Africa has stipulated such policy, considering it as a main issue in connection with Syria. He said it is unacceptable for Russia and China to make attempts to change regimes through foreign forces, adding that both countries reject unilateral sanctions which would only aggravate the suffering of the Syrian people. A citizen was killed and 2 others were wounded when terrorists fired a mortar shell at citizens' houses in al-Assad's residential suburbs in Damascus countryside. The border's forces intercepted a terrorist group in Bir al-Sawt on the Syrian-Jordanian borders, eliminating all its members and destroying the cars used by the terrorists. In Assad Road neighborhood in Daraya, the authorities targeted the hideouts of the armed terrorist groups, killing a large number of them and destroying 5 vehicles equipped with Doshka machine guns. Our armed forces inflicted heavy losses on armed terrorist groups in Idlib countryside, killing and wounding dozens of them. A military source affirmed that during a series of qualitative operations which targeted terrorist gatherings at Al-Janudiyya and other villages in Idlib countryside, the source stressed that large numbers of terrorists were killed as they were committing acts of theft and robbery against public and private properties in Taftanaz, As-Sirmaniyya, Ma'ar Shamsha, Ma'ar Tamasrin and Jidar Bakfaloon. In Homs countryside, army units destroyed 2 dens for terrorists at outskirts of Al-Rastan and at Dar al-Kabira towns, killing and wounding dozens of them. In Aleppo, our armed forces killed and wounded the members of an armed terrorist group at the cultural center in Hanano residences and destroyed 3 vehicles, one of which was equipped with a machine gun. The army also destroyed 3 armored vehicles and eliminated a number of terrorists at Al-Hajj bridge. In Ash-Sha'ar neighborhood, the army destroyed a mortar gun and a vehicle that carried terrorists and contained ammunition and weapons. In Daraya, in Damascus suburbs, army units have taken full control of Sukayna mausoleum and the surrounding area in Daraya. According to a military source, the operation resulted in killing all the terrorists who took refuge in the mausoleum and used it as a headquarters for their crimes, and damaged the building after they opened holes in it to carry out their acts of sniping through its walls. The army also dismantled a large number of explosive devices which they planted in the area and confiscated quantities of weapons and ammunition as well as RPG shells and sniping rifles. In the surroundings of the finance building, an army unit killed and wounded a large number of terrorists. Tunisian Interior Minister Lutfi bin Jiddo pledged to continue combating extremist groups at a time Tunisian authorities are taking measures to prevent Tunisian citizens from joining terrorist groups in Syria. Tunisian news agency quoted bin Jiddo as saying last night that his ministry will continue to fight some extremist groups which try to impose their own logic and agenda on the rest of society in Tunisia. News sources pointed out that Tunisian authorities have already imposed restrictions on the travel of Tunisian youngsters across Libya to join terrorist groups in Syria at one of the largest border crossings with Libya. Welcome back. A Syrian truck driver was critically wounded when armed gunmen opened fire at a number of trucks heading to Syria near a bridge for pedestrians in Bab al-Tabbana area in Tripoli, north of Lebanon. Lebanese security sources pointed out that dozens of gunmen opened fire at the Syrian trucks as one gunman threw a hand grenade, causing the injury of driver Saleh Faris. It is worth mentioning that such hostile attacks have taken place several times before in the city of Tripoli. In occupied Palestine, Israeli occupation forces escalated their attacks on Gaza Strip and the West Bank, launching an airstrike on the city of Beit Lahia this morning. Meanwhile, in response to the martyrdom of Palestinian prisoner Maysara Abu Hamdiya after being denied medical treatment by Israeli occupation authorities, Palestinian resistance men targeted Israeli settlements with 2 rockets. It is to be noted that clashes continued in the West Bank between Israeli occupation soldiers and Palestinian citizens. Finally, and in our local news, Ministry of Health received from the representative of the UN Population Fund in Syria 4 fully equipped ambulances. This batch of ambulances is aimed to meet part of the needs of rescue services under the unprecedented pressures on the health sector as a result of economic sanctions and daily attacks on this vital sector. More than 400 ambulances were attacked by terrorists in different parts of Syria so far. Work is still underway to boost cooperation with international organizations to develop strategies that would help provide further medical equipment and medicine to the citizens. With this, we conclude our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business and market news with Khalid Saqabani after a short break.